Hi, my name's Billy. I read books and I've read The Sarantine Mosaic by Gavriel. It's split up in between two books, Sailing to Sarantine and Lord of Emperors. It's a duology, a two-book series. It's really, really good. Let me tell you about it. So every book of Gavriel that I've read so far has been a standalone. This is the first one I've read that is part of a series as such. There isn't, I don't think there's many books really in a series that he has done, but this one, this duology, starts off with Sailing to Sarantine. And Sarantine is the big major city. And we follow a mosaicist who creates art out of little stones, pebbles, glass of colour, and he's in a small little village working away, doing his best he can with inadequate resources. Whereas in Sarantine, well, they've got tons of money, all the best material, all the best products over there. And due to a certain set of circumstances that arise, which I'm not going to tell you about for spoiler reasons, our protagonist, Caius, ends up having to sail to Sarantine. And as happens with lots of Gavriel books, the political machinations and wider political intrigue is at play, just the same as in all of his other books. Except in this series, you're following a lot of smaller characters, just normal people, such as a mosaicist, such as a doctor, or a soldier, or a girl's kind of sold into slavery, who then is able to then escape and pursue a normal life. A cook, a charioteer, someone who rides in the Colosseum, in the arena, racing chariots. You follow these characters whilst the bigger plot swirls around, and you encounter all the major players within the various high-ranking political factions. And because Gavriel is such an amazing character writer, you get to know them and understand them, but then the little people experience the ramifications, but are also embroiled within what happens as well. And it's so well done. It's so really, really well done. The first book is a lot of, not so much setup, but it's about getting people into position, really. Getting some of the smaller characters from where they are into Sarantine, really. But that journey and the groundwork that is laid there is really well done. And this only comes into play, and you only realise and appreciate that so much when you get to Lord of Emperors, the second book, because even though this book starts off with brand new characters to start with, before long you really like the characters, really like them. You know the motivations, you know the hopes and dreams, and the impact of what's happening on them, and the impact that's going to have for them. But then everything joins together. So I'd say within the halfway point of this book, Lord of Emperors, you get that sense of not so much dread, but you know things are starting to kick off now. And when I say kick off, I don't mean there's going to be like a Brandon Sanderson, John Gwynne, massive explosion of violence and fighting, or anything like that, because that's not how Gavriel writes. With a Gavriel book, people's lives will get snuffed out like that. And he doesn't make a big fuss about it. It's not a big drama, but the ramifications of what happens to that character are so big and so enormous, and he's written them so well, that when something terrible happens to them, whether it be a horrendous injury or death or whatever that may be, it gets you. He doesn't have to shout at you or scream it from the rooftops. He just tells you it's happened, or you watch it happen, and it's awful. It's really, really awful. And he also has a way of writing it where he gives you hope. Even though the character knows something terrible is going to happen to them, and you know something terrible is about to happen, and that there's no escape. You ain't getting out of this. But he writes it in a way that even though you know that, he gives you a bit of hope that it might do. And then the actual outcome of it can be all the more heartbreaking. And what I'd say is that the ending of this book, I finished this last night, and I think the ending of this book has to be one of the best endings I've ever read. It wasn't a big, well, I suppose it could have been a big fist pump moment, really, but it wasn't. It was a touching, tender coming together of everything, absolutely everything you've read in these two books, that kind of just comes together in the final 2 pages. And it's just amazing. It's lovely. It's not lovely, but it is lovely in a way. And I think this is something that's going to stay with me for a long, long time. I don't know whether this is, I'm going to think of this as his best book that I've read. I think I've read 5. I've read these 2, A Brightness Long Ago, A Song for Arbonne, and Children of Earth and Sky. And I still think of A Brightness Long Ago as being my favourite. That was the first one of his I read. But I think the more I think about this, bearing in mind I only finished it last night, I think these 2 books taken together are going to be, is this going to be my favourite books ever? I don't ever think I will, I don't often reread books. The only other books I've ever reread was The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, and that's because that's all I ever read when I was younger. But I think in the fullness of time, I will come back to this series and these books and read them again, because knowing what happens now and seeing the foreshadowing and the groundwork that was done and how it was pulled off, I think it will have even more impact on me the second time around, even though it's had a big impact now. So as you can probably tell, this is a big recommendation by me to give these a go. If you've not read Guy Gavriel Kay, at least give him a go. Because I'm so glad I gave him a try, because I never thought he'd be kind of an author for me. But yes, he definitely is. So it's a big thumbs up for me. I think I gave each book 4 stars really, but the more I'm thinking about it, that's probably going to get elevated up to 5 stars each. So as you can see, I am a little bit lost for words just thinking back about the events of this story. So let me know if you've read it and what you think, and I will see you in the next video and talk to you in the comments below. Take care. Bye bye.